Hello, everybody. Thanks for watching. My name is Joe, and I'm a PCT, which stands for Patient Care Technician. For those of you that don't know what that is, it is a nurse's aide. So, nurse's aide is an umbrella term which includes several professionalized titles such as PCT or CNA. They all collectively work right underneath the licensed nurse. So, the purpose of this video is to introduce the acronym PASS. P.A.S.S is an acronym that I created in the field that helped me keep track of my patient's health. And when my patient's health was declining or deteriorating, this P.A.S.S helped me catch those factors that contributed to that patient's deterioration in health. So there was instances where me or coworkers would overlook signs or factors that potentially led to the patient declining in health. And it helped me to create this method and this guide to catch these factors or these signs that, can be corrected and, not be overlooked. So this P.A.S.S gives the nurse's aide the foresight to keep track of the patient's health and what could potentially cause them to deteriorate in health. So you can substitute PCT with whatever title you are, because this P.A.S.S can be used virtually by anybody in the healthcare setting to keep track of the patient's health and to catch when they decline or when they deteriorate, and hopefully to be corrected. So making your patient the top priority is what this P.A.S.S is. You are making sure that you're keeping your eyes on your patient and you're knowing what to look for and how to be aware that your patient is declining. So P.A.S.S stands for Patient Awareness, Signs, Symptoms. So briefly, the patient in this acronym is your patient's name, their room number, and why they are at the hospital or the facility, because understanding why they're there is going to help you determine when they could potentially decline or when they are declining and what's contributing or the factors that are causing them to decline. So after you understand your patients, where their room is and why they're there, that's going to help you see the signs and symptoms or potential signs and symptoms that's going to cause them to deteriorate. So the A in P.A.S.S is awareness, which is being aware that your patient has what we call ABCs, which is airway, breathing, and circulation. So once you recognize they have those, you can start looking for signs or factors that are going to impact their ABCs or compromise their ABCs. So knowing what to look for in their room, or maybe they're outside of the room in the hallway, are they, carrying their oxygen alongside their wheelchair or their walker while they're with physical therapy, if they have problems breathing, knowing that they have what they need while they're at the facility or the hospital to make sure they keep these ABCs. So after you look for signs that can affect them, if you find yourself with a sign or multiple signs, then you need to investigate and look for symptoms. So for instance, if your patient is hunched over in their bed holding their head, it would lead you to believe that they're having maybe a headache So ask your patient, and if they tell you they have a migraine, then that is a symptom. You didn't know they had a migraine. You just thought they had maybe a minor headache. So knowing that they have a migraine is a symptom. So overall, your signs and your symptoms, signs are objective data. Symptoms are subjective data. So knowing your patient, knowing where they're at, knowing why they're there, making sure that you're aware that they have their ABCs, and then finding and collecting signs or symptoms is going to help make sure your patient is your top priority and that their health is not being overlooked in a positive or negative way, and that you are around your patient and come into contact with your patient more than anybody is the most crucial part of this P.A.S.S, because nobody is around them and nobody comes into contact with them more than the nurse's aide. So you are going to be more likely to catch these signs, these symptoms. So I have a list with steps and tips and a way to guide you and help you practice and learn how to keep track of your patients and make sure they are kept at your highest top priority, because while they stay there, you are going to see them more than anybody, and you need to make sure that you are keeping track of each one, knowing who they are, where they are, and what to look for so that they are safe and that you can assure them that you are paying attention and that you are making them that top priority. So just a little brief overview of this list here. Obviously you're trying to find those abnormal signs and what would lead you to question those signs to find out more. They could be having symptoms, and it could be something that's external as well. It might not be a symptom. It could be that the room is cold and it's causing them to get hypothermia. I mean, that's a pretty major thing that, someone should catch a lot, earlier, but it's something that could happen. You could find the room's freezing cold for some reason, and the patient's temperature is going down. It might not just be a symptom, it might be something that's affecting them in the environment. So you should collect, like I said, that data that's going to help you find those problems and hopefully correct them. After you look for those notable differences that you're investigating, you're going to correct those problems or find somebody that can. So whether it's the nurse or a therapist, if you do happen to find signs or symptoms, minor or major, if they are major or they're questionable, you need to find, the nurse or call the nurse, somehow get, that higher authority that can help, get that immediate attention. So here I put notify nurse stat. For those of you that don't know what stat is, that's ASAP. Right now, it needs to be taken care of at this moment. So I have here at the bottom NN equals notify nurse. That's what should be used to help with time. NN is notify nurse and then stat. So when you face decision-making obstacles, use your proper judgment. When in doubt, always notify the nurse stat. So always observe the patient's ABCs. That right there is, critical. Just a quick example before I get done here. If your patient is up and walking around, talking on the phone, um, you know, their ABCs are not negatively impacted. They might have issues, but there needs to be a rapid deterioration or rapid decline or something, a sign that is, major for you to notify the nurse stat. Like that's a very, emergent thing, urgent thing that needs to take place. But overall, that right there is, crucial for you to be alive. If your patient is asleep, are they asleep? You should know when your patient is asleep or when they're passed out or when they're, dead. You don't just walk by your patient's room and assume they're sleeping just because they got their eyes closed. You know, you need to understand what could cause them to just be laying there white as a ghost or sleeping. You need to know the differences if they're alive and not alive. Um, just because, you pass by and they look like they're asleep doesn't mean they're asleep. Maybe they're, uh, going into a coma or, they're passing away. These ABCs are, you know, the top priority. So at the end of the day, P.A.S.S, knowing who your patient is, knowing they have these ABCs, looking for those signs and finding out those symptoms, that's going to help you make your patient the top priority. So I hope you take all of this in and you learn how to use this method, because I've used it in my experience in the field and it has changed the way that I do my job, and I hope it can help you change the way you do your job. So if you have any questions or want to leave some comments or reviews, I am going to leave the link to this method, this chart, in a print-off form. Let's see. It's going to be 2 pages. I'm not going to try to make it one. I want to make sure the chart is the same format, just because it's the same one I've always used. But feel free to edit it, change it the way you want, however you like, practice it different ways. But I hope, again, this helps you in the healthcare setting keep your patients top priority. So thank you very much. We'll see you next time.